right, hey there. There's a little bit of buzz in the bourbon community right now. I'm not sure if you've heard it, but you probably have. That is Pursuit United. What is Pursuit United? It is a new expression from Pursuit Spirits. You may be familiar with that. That was started by Kenny Coleman and Ryan Cecil of the Bourbon Pursuit podcast, one of the biggest and best podcasts out there right now. If you're not listening to it, you probably should. But Kenny and Ryan have spent about a year. They've gone out and found some, I'm not even going to call it sources, some more contract distilling. Gone out and found some companies that are going to work with them for a really unique blend. And I'm going to taste it for you here today. As you can see, I've had a little bit of this already, so I'm pretty familiar with the flavor profiles. This one is a blend of 3 different straight bourbons. There's one from Kentucky made by Bardstown Bourbon Company, right here in Bardstown, if the name doesn't clue you in. The other one is Finger Lakes Distilling, I believe, up in New York, and that's a wheated mash bill, so there's a rye and a wheated. And another one is the last one. It's another Tennessee distillery, and it's not the one you think, that begins with George and ends in Ickle. It's a different one. We don't know which one. But Ryan and Kenny have gone out and they've tasted all these blends, tried a bunch of different things together, and this is what they come up with. So it's 3 different mash bills. At least one of them's wheat. The other 2 are rye, and this is what we have. It's a blend of straight bourbons. So I'm going to go ahead and taste them for you. You can get this on sealbox.com right now, and I'm pretty sure that you can get it around Louisville now. I'm not sure where else it's going to be available yet, but I know it is going to be kind of widely distributed. I believe there's going to be a couple different releases of this early on, and if you don't have it in your area yet, and you are in their distribution footprint, it's coming. So what I've noticed about this and what's really interesting is there's kind of 3 different phases to this. When I smell this, it straight up to me smells just like a wheated bourbon. There's a little bit of orchard fruit in there. There's this kind of cotton candy, simple syrup type thing going on that's just really sticky sweet. It's got a little bit of caramel under there. All in all, it's really interesting. And to me, off the nose, it smells like a wheated bourbon. It doesn't smell like a, I'm not going to say Buffalo Trace or Heaven Hill, because they kind of have their own unique profiles. To me, it smells more like a wheat whiskey, maybe from a Woodford, something along those lines that has a little bit more fruit to it. But it does have that sweetness and that kind of circus peanuts that you get in the Heaven Hill stuff. So yeah, it's definitely the wheated, to me, and maybe it's just my head telling me this, but the wheated mash bill component of this comes through bright and clear on the nose. And see, this is where it gets interesting, because on the palate, the first thing you get is a heavy dose of cinnamon, and I love cinnamon in bourbon. Kind of cinnamon red hot. A little bit of the orchard fruit on the periphery, but really I think the rye mash bills have blended really well together here. And that's what you're getting, is this kind of black pepper note with a sweetness, caramel, vanilla in there. A little bit of maybe butterscotch as well, but really tasty. And the finish on this, I'm going to say it's about a medium finish, slightly towards the shorter end of it. But that's where the oak comes from. That's where the oak comes out and really kind of comes to the forefront. As you drink this, when you kind of let it sit, let it mingle, have your second sip, let the bottle air out a little bit, more and more flavors keep coming. It's a really complex and it's a fun sip, because one thing that I think people lose sight of is they say, hey, they like rye, or I like wheated bourbons, or I like a certain mash bill and I don't like another mash bill. And what you get is kind of I don't want to say it's one-dimensional, because it's not, but it's a single voice. This is kind of if you think about the difference between blending different mash bills together in different distillates, it's a difference of a solo singer, which can be beautiful and wonderful, and a choir, having 2 or 3 people singing harmony, something like that. This is more like harmony. This is an excellent job of blending whiskey. I'm really impressed with Kenny and Ryan. As someone who blends for Four Gate Whiskey Company, I can tell you that a lot of thought, a lot of passion, probably a ton of experimentation went on to get this particular blend in the bottle, and it's very impressive to me. I think I paid around $60 for it, which I think is the MSRP. If you can find it, pick it up. It's certainly worth it. It's 110 proof, 108 proof, and around $60. That's a pretty solid proof at $60 these days. I would certainly suggest checking it out. It's really worth it. It's one of the better blended bourbons I've tasted in a while, and just by nature of my job, I've tasted an awful lot of them recently. So check it out. You won't be disappointed. If you like what we're doing, check us out at ModernThirst.com. Like us and subscribe right here on YouTube. Cheers. Have a good day.